Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the TDF Liberty, watching the stars through the large front window. The ship looked like any other cargo vessel from the outside. Its gray metal hull was scratched and worn, making it appear old and harmless, but Jake knew better. Hidden beneath that ordinary surface were weapons and shields that could surprise anyone who thought humans were weak. The Liberty had been traveling through space for 3 weeks now. They were carrying supplies to the new human colony on Kepler Station. It was supposed to be a simple cargo run, but Jake had a feeling that today would be different. His crew was ready for anything. Lieutenant Lisa Harper sat at her station, monitoring the communication systems. She was young but smart, and Jake trusted her completely. Next to her, Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez kept watch on the weapon systems. Even though the Liberty looked peaceful, Ben made sure they were always ready to defend themselves. "Captain," Lisa said suddenly, "I'm picking up something on the long-range sensors. Multiple ships approaching from the northeast." Jake walked over to her station and looked at the screen. 5 large ships were moving toward them in a tight formation. They were much bigger than the Liberty, and their design was unlike anything in the human database. "How long until they reach us?" Jake asked. "About 10 minutes at their current speed," Lisa replied. Jake nodded and pressed a button on his chair. "All hands, this is the captain. We have unknown vessels approaching." "This is not a drill. Everyone to your stations." The bridge became busy as crew members checked their systems. Chief Engineer Amy Sullivan called from the engine room to report that all systems were running perfectly. She had designed many of the Liberty's hidden features herself, and Jake knew they could count on her work. The alien ships came closer, and Jake could see them clearly now. They were dark blue with silver markings, and they looked like they were built for war. Long weapon barrels stuck out from their sides, and their hulls were covered in thick armor plating. "Captain," Ben said from his station, "those ships are powering up their weapons. They're getting ready to fight." "Hold steady," Jake said calmly. "Let's see what they want first." A few minutes later, Lisa's communication board lit up with an incoming message. She put it on the main screen, and everyone could see the alien who appeared. He had dark green skin, 4 arms, and yellow eyes that looked angry. When he spoke, his voice was deep and threatening. "Unknown vessel," the alien said. "You are in space controlled by the Zelani Empire. I am Commander Vextara of the Imperial Fleet. You will surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in your destruction." Jake looked at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for orders. He had trained for this moment, but it was still strange to be talking to aliens for the first time. He stood up and smoothed his uniform. "Open a channel," he told Lisa. The screen changed to show Jake on the bridge of the Liberty. He could see Commander Vextara's surprise when he saw a human for the first time. The alien commander had probably expected to see fear, but Jake's face was calm and confident. "Commander Vextara," Jake said politely, "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Terran Defense Force ship Liberty. We come in peace and mean no harm to your empire. We are simply traveling through this area to deliver supplies to our people. We would be happy to discuss trade agreements or peaceful contact between our species." Commander Vextara stared at the screen for a moment. It was clear that no one had ever refused his surrender demand before. His yellow eyes became even more angry, and his 4 arms moved as he spoke. "You dare refuse the Zelani Empire?" he shouted. "We have conquered this entire sector of space. Hundreds of species have bowed before our power. You will surrender now, or we will take your ship by force." Jake remained calm. He had expected this reaction, according to Earth's intelligence. Reports, most alien empires used fear and force to control other species, but humans had learned a different way. "I understand your position," Jake said, "but we cannot surrender. We have done nothing wrong, and we will not submit to threats. However, we still hope we can resolve this peacefully." Commander Vextara turned to speak with someone off-screen. Jake could hear angry voices talking in the alien language. After a moment, the Zelani commander turned back to the screen. "This is your final warning, human," he said. "Surrender or face the consequences." Jake looked at Ben, who nodded and placed his hands on the weapon controls. Amy's voice came over the intercom from the engine room. "Captain, all systems are ready. The surprise package is loaded and waiting." Jake smiled slightly. The Zilani had no idea what they were about to face. Human engineers had spent years developing new technology, learning from every piece of alien tech they could find. The Liberty might look like an old cargo ship, but it was actually one of the most advanced vessels ever built. "Commander Vextara," Jake said, "I'm sorry we couldn't reach an agreement. But I want you to know that humans always defend themselves when threatened." The alien commander made an angry gesture, and the screen went dark. A moment later, Ben called out from his station. "Captain, the lead Zilani ship is charging weapons. They're preparing to fire." Jake sat back down in his captain's chair. His crew was ready, and he was proud of them. They were about to make history as the first humans to face an alien military force. "All right, people," Jake said calmly. "It looks like they want to do this the hard way. Ben, prepare to show them what human engineering can do." "Yes, sir," Ben replied, his fingers dancing over the weapon controls. On the main screen they could see the Zilani ships moving into attack formation. The largest ship, Commander Vextara's flagship, moved to the front of the group. Bright energy began to build up around its main weapon. "They're targeting our engines," Ben reported. "Typical Imperial tactic? They want to disable us so they can board the ship." Jake nodded. "Lisa, record everything. Earth Command will want to see how this first contact goes." "Recording, sir," Lisa confirmed. The tension on the bridge was thick. As everyone waited for the Zilani to make their move, through the window they could see the enemy ships getting closer. Commander Vextara probably thought this would be easy. Most species surrendered after seeing the size of Zilani warships, but the commander had never faced humans before. He had no idea that the small cargo ship in front of him carried weapons that could punch through his armor like paper. He didn't know that human shields could absorb his most powerful attacks and send the energy right back at him. "Captain," Ben said quietly, "they're almost in range." Jake took a deep breath. Everything they had trained for led to this moment. The decisions made in the next few minutes would affect the relationship between humans and the rest of the galaxy for years to come. "Wait for them to fire first," Jake ordered. "Let the record show that they started this fight." On the screen, they could see the Zilani flagship's main weapon reaching full power. Commander Vextara was about to learn that humans were not like other species he had conquered. Humans fought back, and they fought to win. The bright flash of the Zilani weapon lit up space as the alien commander fired his warning shot. The bright energy beam from the Zilani flagship shot across space toward the Liberty. Commander Vextara watched from his bridge, expecting to see the human ship's engines explode in a shower of sparks. Instead, something incredible happened. A blue energy field appeared around the Liberty just as the weapon hit. The Zilani beam struck the shield and simply disappeared, absorbed completely by the human defenses. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Liberty's hull began to change. Large metal panels slid away from the ship's sides, revealing sleek weapon systems underneath. What had looked like a simple cargo vessel now showed its true nature. Advanced energy cannons emerged from hidden compartments, and sensor arrays unfolded like the wings of a mechanical bird. Captain Jake Morrison sat calmly in his chair as his ship transformed around him. "Ben, return their energy to them. Show them we don't waste anything." "Lieutenant." Ben Rodriguez smiled as he worked his controls. The Liberty shields had done more than just stop the Zilani attack. They had stored all that energy and converted it into something much more focused and powerful. A thin beam of pure white light shot out from the Liberty's main weapon. It struck the Zilani flagship exactly where its engines were located. There was no explosion, no fire. The beam simply cut through the alien ship's armor and destroyed the engine systems with surgical precision. The massive Zilani warship suddenly stopped moving forward. Its lights flickered as power systems failed throughout the vessel. The other 4 ships in the formation quickly moved to surround their damaged flagship. But their commanders were clearly confused about what had just happened on the Zelani. Flagship Commander Vextara struggled to understand what he had just seen. His ship's most powerful weapon had done absolutely nothing to the human vessel. Even worse, somehow the humans had sent his own attack back at him with twice the power. Science. Officer Ketral, he shouted to one of his crew members, what kind of technology are these humans using? Science Officer Ketral was a tall, thin alien with pale blue skin and large black eyes. She had studied the technology of dozens of conquered species, but the readings from her instruments made no sense. Commander, she said nervously, their energy output is unlike anything in our database. The power coming from that small ship is greater than our own flagship and their defensive systems. They appear to be using controlled fusion reactions that we abandoned centuries ago because they were too dangerous. Commander Vextara stared at the human ship on his screen. The Liberty looked so small compared to his warships, but clearly, size meant nothing when it came to human technology. Back on the Liberty, Chief Engineer Amy Sullivan reported from the engine room. Captain, all systems are operating perfectly. The energy absorption worked exactly as planned. We're at full power and ready for whatever they want to try next. Amy had designed most of the Liberty's advanced systems herself. She was one of Earth's best engineers, and she took pride in creating technology that could surprise anyone who thought humans were primitive. The Liberty's shields didn't just block attacks. They turned enemy weapons into fuel for human defensive systems. Excellent work, Amy, Jake replied. Lisa, open a channel to the Zelani commander. The main screen showed Commander Vextara S. Bridge again. The alien commander looked angry and confused. Behind him, Jake could see Zelani crew members running around trying to fix their damaged systems. Commander Vextara, Jake said politely, I hope your crew is not hurt. Our weapons were designed to disable your engines without causing harm. To your people, if you need assistance with repairs, we would be happy to help. The Zelani commander's four arms waved wildly as he spoke. What kind of sorcery is this? How did a primitive species develop such advanced technology? Jake remained calm and patient. We're not primitive, Commander. Humans have been studying science and engineering for thousands of years. We simply prefer to use our knowledge for defense rather than conquest. This is impossible, Commander Vextara said. Our empire has ruled this sector for 3 centuries. We have the most advanced technology in the galaxy. No young species should be able to match our power. Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez looked up from his station. Captain, the other Zelani ships are moving into a new formation. They're preparing to attack with all 4 vessels at once. Jake nodded. I was afraid they might try that. Amy, are our shields ready for multiple attacks? Ready and waiting, Captain. Amy's voice came through the intercom. We can handle anything they throw at us. On the Zelani flagship, Science Officer Ketral continued studying her readings. What she discovered made her even more worried. Commander, she said quietly, I don't think they're using just one fusion reactor. The energy signatures suggest they have multiple reactors working together in ways our science says should be impossible. And their weapons, they're not using simple energy beams? They're manipulating matter at the molecular level. Commander Vextara felt a chill run through his body. His empire had conquered dozens of species by using superior technology. But if the humans had even more advanced science, what did that mean for Zelani dominance in this sector? He opened a private communication channel to his fleet's other commanders. All ships maintain defensive positions. Do not attack unless I give the order. We need to understand what we're dealing with. But one of his ship commanders, Captain Drake Volume of the cruiser Vengeance, was too proud to accept that aliens could be superior to the Zelani. Commander Vextara, we cannot show weakness to these humans. If we retreat now, word will spread throughout the galaxy that the mighty Zelani Empire was defeated by a single cargo ship. Captain Drake Volume ignored his commander's orders and fired his ship's main weapons at the Liberty. The other 3 Zelani vessels quickly joined the attack, sending a storm of energy beams toward the human ship. Once again, the Liberty's shields absorbed every attack completely. But this time, Jake decided to show the Zilani something even more impressive than simply returning their energy. Then, Jake said calmly, use the gravity manipulation system. Show them how humans deal with multiple attackers. Ben's fingers moved quickly over his controls. The Liberty's most advanced weapon system came online, drawing power from all the absorbed Zilani attacks. Instead of firing energy beams, the human ship began to affect the space around the alien vessels. The four attacking Zilani ships suddenly found themselves pulled toward each other by invisible forces. Their engines fought against the gravitational fields that the Liberty was creating, but human technology was too powerful. The alien ships were dragged into a tight cluster, unable to move or escape. What's happening to our ships? Commander Vextara demanded. Science Officer Ketrel stared at her instruments in amazement. They're using artificial gravity fields? Commander, they're manipulating space itself to control our movement. This technology is centuries ahead of anything we possess. The four Zilani ships found themselves locked in position, unable to fire their weapons effectively or escape the gravitational trap. Their crews worked frantically to break free, but human engineering was too advanced for them to overcome. Jake opened the communication channel again. Commander Vextara, your ships are not damaged, just temporarily unable to move. We can release you at any time. But first, I think we need to have a serious conversation about peaceful relations between our species. Commander Vextara looked around his bridge at his confused and frightened crew. In less than an hour, everything he believed about Zilani superiority had been proven wrong. These humans had technology that made his mighty empire look like children playing with toys. What do you want from us? He asked quietly. Nothing, Jake replied. We just want to be left alone to live in peace. But if you threaten us or attack our people, you've seen what we can do to defend ourselves. The Zilani commander made a decision that would change everything. He opened an emergency communication channel to Imperial Command on the Zilani homeworld. This is Commander Vextara of the 3rd Patrol Fleet, he said into the transmitter. I am sending urgent reports about a new species called humans. They possess technology far beyond our current capabilities. Request immediate consultation with Imperial Command. The message would take several days to reach the Zilani homeworld, but when it arrived, it would cause panic among the empires. Leadership. For the first time in centuries, the Zilani had encountered a species that was clearly superior to them in military technology. Jake released the gravitational fields holding the Zilani ships, and they quickly moved to a safe distance. Commander Vextara, you're free to go. But remember what happened here today. Humans prefer peace, but we're more than capable of defending ourselves. As the Zilani fleet retreated, Jake knew this was just the beginning. Word of this encounter would spread throughout the galaxy, and soon every major alien power would want to know more about humanity. 3 weeks after Commander Vextara's defeat, the Zilani homeworld received his urgent message. Admiral Zephyrin, Supreme Commander of the 3rd Fleet, read the report in his private office. He was an old warrior with dark green skin covered in battle scars. His 6 arms moved angrily as he studied the data. Impossible, he muttered to himself. No young species could possess such advanced technology. Vextara must have made mistakes in his attack. Admiral Zephyrin had conquered 47 different worlds during his long career. He had never met a species that could match Zilani military power. The idea that humans could defeat his ships seemed like a joke. He called his fleet commanders to an emergency meeting. Within hours, 47 of the Empire's most powerful warships were heading toward human space. Admiral Zephyrin planned to crush these upstart humans quickly and show the galaxy that no one challenged the Zilani Empire. Meanwhile, in the new Seattle system, Captain Jake Morrison was meeting with other human commanders. The TDF Liberty had been joined by 5 more ships from Earth's Defense Force. Captain Katie Walsh commanded the TDF Defender, a vessel that looked like a simple transport but carried weapons even more advanced than the Liberty's. Intelligence reports show a large Zilani fleet approaching, Jake told the assembled captains. 47 ships led by one of their most experienced admirals. They're clearly not happy about our first meeting. Captain Walsh studied the tactical display showing the approaching enemy fleet. That's a lot of firepower, Jake. Are you sure we can handle that many ships with just 6 vessels? Jake smiled confidently. Katie, you've seen what our technology can do. Besides, we're not alone. Colony Administrator Ryan Foster has been working with Marine Colonel Steve Parker to set up orbital defense platforms around New Seattle. On the surface of New Seattle, Ryan Foster was coordinating the evacuation of non-essential personnel to underground shelters. The colony had been established only 2 years ago, but it was already home to 50,000 humans. Ryan refused to abandon his people to alien invaders. Marine Colonel Steve Parker stood in the Orbital Defense Control Center, watching his teams make final preparations. For weeks, he had been secretly installing weapon platforms in asteroid fields around the system. The Zelani would not expect a new colony to have such advanced defenses. Colonel, one of his technicians reported, all defense platforms are online and ready. We have full coverage of all approach routes to the planet, Steve nodded grimly. He was a veteran of Earth's military conflicts, but this would be his first battle against aliens. Remember, people, we're not just defending a colony. We're showing the galaxy that humans protect their own. Admiral Zephyr's fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the New Seattle system. The Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Conqueror, and looked at the tactical display. He could see the human colony world and the small fleet of 6 ships defending it. Only 6 ships? He laughed. Commander Vextara was defeated by 6 primitive vessels? This will be easier than I thought. His fleet spread out in a classic Imperial attack formation. The largest ships moved to the front while smaller vessels protected the flanks. Admiral Zephyr had used this same formation to conquer dozens of worlds. Captain Walsh's voice came through the communication system to all human ships. All vessels, this is Defender. Remember the plan. We hold back and let them come to us. Make them think we're afraid. The human ships moved into a tight defensive formation near the planet. To Admiral Zephyr, it looked like they were scared and trying to hide behind the colony's gravity well. He ordered his fleet to advance at full speed. Open a channel to the human ships. The Admiral commanded. Captain Morrison appeared on the Zelani flagship's main screen. Admiral Zephyr was surprised to see how calm and confident the human looked, even facing such overwhelming odds. Human. Commander, Admiral Zephyr said in his deep, threatening voice, I am Admiral Zephyr of the Zelani Imperial Fleet. You will surrender this colony immediately and submit to Imperial rule. Any resistance will result in the complete destruction of your world and all its inhabitants. Jake looked directly into the camera. Admiral, I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Terran Defense Force. This is human space, and these are human people. We will not surrender, and we will not submit to threats. If you want this world, you'll have to take it from us. Admiral Zephyr's 6 arms waved angrily. You dare refuse the might of the Zelani Empire? I have 47 warships under my command. You have 6 small vessels. Do you truly believe you can stand against us? Admiral, Jake replied calmly, humans have learned that it's not the size of the fleet that matters. It's how you use the ships you have. The communication channel closed, and Admiral Zephyr turned to his weapons officer. Target their largest ship first. Show them the price of defying the Empire. But before the Zelani could fire something unexpected happened. The space around their fleet suddenly filled with new contacts. Colonel Parker's hidden defense platforms revealed themselves, emerging from asteroid fields and debris clouds where they had been waiting. Admiral, his sensor officer called out in alarm, we're detecting 43 additional weapon platforms. Throughout the system, they were hidden until now. Admiral Zephyr stared at the tactical display. The humans had turned the entire star system into a fortress. His fleet was now surrounded by defensive positions that his sensors had completely missed. Captain Walsh's voice broadcast on all frequencies. Admiral Zephyr, you're now inside our defensive perimeter. Your ships are surrounded and outgunned. This is your last chance to withdraw peacefully. The Admiral's pride would not let him retreat. All ships, attack formation Delta. Destroy. Everything with a human energy signature. The Zelani fleet opened fire with every weapon they had. Energy beams and missiles filled space as 47 warships unleashed their full firepower. The attack was so intense that it lit up the darkness between the planets, but the humans were ready. Every ship and defense platform activated their advanced shield systems simultaneously. The Zelani weapons struck barrier after barrier of energy. Each shot absorbed and converted into power for human defensive systems. "Now," Jake commanded over the fleet channel, the human counterattack began. With precision that amazed even Admiral Zephyrin. Instead of firing randomly, each human ship targeted specific systems on multiple Zelani vessels. Dr. Helen Brooks had designed these weapons on Earth, creating systems that could disable enemy ships without destroying them completely. Captain Walsh coordinated the attack from the Defender. Her ship's computer systems tracked every Zelani vessel and assigned targets to maximize effectiveness. Liberty, take the 3 cruisers on the left flank. Defender will handle the flagship and its escorts. The Liberty fired a series of gravitational pulses that grabbed 5 Zelani ships and held them motionless in space. Unable to move or maneuver, they became easy targets for the defense platforms, which used precise energy beams to disable their weapons and engines. The Defender demonstrated an even more advanced technique. Captain Walsh activated her ship's matter manipulation system, which could affect the atomic structure of enemy hulls. 3 Zelani cruisers suddenly found their armor plating becoming soft and useless, offering no protection against human weapons. Admiral Zephyrin watched in horror as his mighty fleet was systematically disabled by a force less than 1/8 its size. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds were being defeated by technology he couldn't understand. How are they doing this? He demanded from his science officer. "Admiral," the terrified officer replied, "their technology is beyond our current understanding. They're using controlled gravitational fields, matter manipulation, and energy systems that shouldn't be possible with their apparent development level." Within 30 minutes, half of the Zelani fleet was disabled. The remaining ships found themselves trapped by gravitational fields or facing defense platforms that seemed to anticipate their every move. Admiral Zephyrin made the hardest decision of his military career. "All ships, cease fire. Request terms for withdrawal." Jake Morrison appeared on the Zelani flagship screen again. "Admiral, we accept your ceasefire. As I said before, humans prefer peaceful solutions. We're prepared to offer medical assistance to your damaged vessels and safe passage out of our territory." The proud Zelani admiral could barely speak. "You would help us after we attacked your world?" "Admiral," Jake replied, "humans fight only when we must. We don't take pleasure in causing suffering, even to our enemies. Your wounded crew members need medical attention, and we have the technology to help them." Lieutenant Commander Tony Green, Jake's first officer, coordinated the rescue operations. Human medical teams transferred to damaged Zelani ships, using advanced healing technology to save lives that would have been lost otherwise. As Admiral Zephyrin watched human doctors working to save his people, he realized that these aliens were unlike any species he had ever encountered. They possessed overwhelming military superiority but chose to use it with honor and compassion. The news of the Zelani defeat would spread throughout the galaxy within days. 47 warships had been defeated by 6 human vessels and some hidden defense platforms. The news of Admiral Zephyrin's defeat traveled across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within days, every major civilization knew that the mighty Zelani Empire had been crushed by a species no one had heard of before. The story seemed impossible to believe, but the evidence was undeniable. On the capital world of the Confederation of Allied Worlds, Representative Kurthek of the Medaran Council sat in his office reading the reports. He was a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 eyes that could see details others missed. As a leader of the Confederation, he represented 43 smaller civilizations that had banded together for protection against larger empires. "This cannot be accurate," he muttered to his assistant. 47 Zelani warships defeated by 6 unknown vessels? Either our intelligence sources are lying or we're dealing with a species more advanced than anything we've encountered. His assistant, a small furry creature named Kelter, brought him additional data files. Sir, we've received confirmation from 3 independent sources. The battle recordings show human ships using technology that appears to manipulate gravity and matter itself. The Confederation Science Council is requesting an immediate meeting. Kurthik activated his communication system and called an emergency session of the Confederation leadership. Within hours, representatives from dozens of worlds were connected through quantum communication links. The meeting room filled with holograms of alien leaders, all discussing the same shocking news. Fellow representatives, Kurthik began, we face a situation that could change the balance of power in our galaxy. A new species called humans has demonstrated military capabilities that exceed even the hegemony of worlds. We must decide how to respond to this development. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Maria Gonzalez sat in the Oval Office with her top advisors. Defense Secretary Carl Thompson spread tactical reports across the conference table while Admiral Patricia Stone reviewed casualty figures from the new Seattle battle. The good news, Admiral Stone reported, is that we suffered no casualties. Our ships performed exactly as expected. The bad news is that we can no longer hide our capabilities from the galaxy. Every major power will want to know more about human technology. President Gonzalez studied a star map showing the locations of known alien civilizations. Carl, what's your assessment of the situation? Defense Secretary Thompson pointed to several areas on the map. Madam President, we're looking at a complex political landscape. The Zelani Empire controls about 15% of this galactic sector, but they're not the strongest power. The hegemony of worlds has been the dominant force for over 2,000 years. They'll see us as either a potential ally or a threat to be eliminated. Dr. Nathan Price, Earth's leading expert on alien cultures, entered the meeting carrying thick files of research data. He had spent years studying intercepted alien communications, trying to understand how different species organized their societies. Mr. President, he said, my analysis suggests that most galactic civilizations follow hierarchical military structures. They expand through conquest and maintain control through fear. Humanity's approach of defensive cooperation is almost unknown in galactic politics. President Gonzalez nodded thoughtfully. Nathan, what does that mean for our future relationships? It means we represent something completely new, Dr. Price replied. Some species will see us as potential protectors. Others will view our philosophy as a threat to their way of life. At that moment, Admiral Stone received an urgent message on her communication device. She read it quickly and looked up at the President with concern. Madam President, we've just received intelligence that the hegemony of worlds has dispatched investigation teams to study human capabilities. They're sending their best spies to gather information about our technology and military strength. Far across the galaxy on the ancient capital world of the hegemony, Empress Kevasa reviewed the same reports that had shocked everyone else. She was an elegant creature with silver skin and 6 delicate arms, but her appearance hid a brilliant tactical mind that had kept the hegemony in power for centuries. The hegemony was the oldest civilization in the galaxy, with technology that other species could barely understand. They had ruled through a combination of superior science and careful political manipulation. The idea that a young species could possess technology they didn't understand was deeply troubling. Intelligence Director Vorthok, she said to her. Chief Spy, I want complete information about these humans. Their technology, their society, their weaknesses. If they truly possess capabilities beyond our own, we must understand how they developed so quickly. Intelligence Director Vorthok was a master of gathering secrets. His species had natural shape-shifting abilities, making them perfect spies. Empress, our agents are already moving toward human space. But I must warn you, their technology appears to be genuinely advanced. This is not a case of primitive aliens using stolen equipment. Empress Kevasa stood and walked to a large window overlooking her capital city. Below her, millions of hegemony citizens went about their daily lives, unaware that their empire's dominance might be challenged for the first time in millennia. "Director," she said quietly, "the hegemony has survived for 2,000 years by adapting to new threats. We will adapt to this one as well." Back on Earth, President Gonzalez made a decision that would change humanity's role in the galaxy forever. She called Admiral Stone into a private meeting to discuss their next move. "Patricia," she said, "I want you to select our best diplomatic team and prepare for formal contact with the major galactic powers. We can't hide anymore, so we might as well introduce ourselves properly." Admiral Stone nodded. "I recommend Captain Morrison to lead the mission. He's proven himself in combat, and his crew has experience dealing with aliens. We'll need someone who can represent humanity's strength while also showing our peaceful intentions." "Approved," President Gonzalez said. "But Patricia, make sure our diplomatic ship is equipped with the most advanced defensive systems we have. If these alien empires decide we're a threat, our diplomats might find themselves in a shooting war." On the capital world of the Confederation, Representative Kurthik was having similar discussions with his fellow leaders. The smaller civilizations saw an opportunity to gain a powerful ally against the larger empires that threatened them. "Fellow representatives," he addressed the emergency assembly, "the humans have demonstrated exactly the kind of defensive capability our Confederation needs. If we can establish friendly relations with them, we might finally have protection against imperial expansion." Representative Yildak of the Sithrek Republic raised a concern. "Kurthik, what if the humans decide to become conquerors themselves? Their technology could easily overwhelm our defenses." "That's exactly why their response to the Zelani defeat is so important," Kurthik replied. "They could have destroyed the entire Zelani fleet, but instead they offered medical assistance to their enemies. This suggests a philosophy very different from typical imperial behavior." The debate continued for hours as representatives from 43 worlds discussed the implications of human technology. Some wanted immediate contact, while others preferred a cautious approach. Meanwhile, Captain Jake Morrison received new orders from Earth Command. He was to take the Liberty on a diplomatic mission to Nexus Station, the galaxy's primary diplomatic hub. The station hosted representatives from over 200 species, making it the perfect place for humanity's formal introduction to galactic civilization. "Lisa," he told his communications officer, "start preparing cultural briefs on every species we're likely to encounter. We need to understand their customs and avoid accidentally offending anyone." Lieutenant Lisa Harper began downloading massive amounts of data about alien cultures. "Captain, this is fascinating. Did you know that the Vorthan species considers eye contact to be an act of aggression, while the Caltharian people take offense if you don't maintain constant eye contact?" Jake smiled. "Diplomacy is going to be even more challenging than combat." Chief Engineer Amy Sullivan was already working on modifications to the Liberty systems. "Captain, I'm installing additional cultural translation software and diplomatic communication protocols. We'll be ready to talk to anyone we meet." As the Liberty prepared for its historic mission, intelligence reports continued flowing in from across the galaxy. Every major power was taking notice of humanity's emergence. Some saw opportunity, others saw threat, but all recognized that the balance of galactic power had shifted dramatically. Dr. Price's final analysis reached President Gonzalez just as the Liberty was departing for Nexus Station. His report concluded that humanity's unique combination of advanced technology and cooperative philosophy could either usher in a new era of galactic peace or trigger the largest war the galaxy had ever seen. The next few days would determine which path the galaxy would take. The TDF Liberty dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Nexus Station, and Captain Jake Morrison stared in amazement at what he saw. The massive space station was unlike anything humans had ever built. It looked like a giant metal flower, floating in space, with dozens of docking arms extending in every direction. Ships from hundreds of different worlds moved around it like busy insects. "Lisa, are you getting all this recorded?" Jake asked his communications officer, Lieutenant. Lisa Harper nodded as she worked her controls. "Yes, sir. I'm also receiving welcome messages in over 50 different languages. The station's computer systems are trying to establish communication protocols with us. Ambassador Claire Johnson stood on the Liberty's bridge, watching the incredible sight through the main window. She had been chosen to lead humanity's first diplomatic mission to the galactic community. Claire was an experienced negotiator who had solved many difficult problems on Earth, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. "Captain Morrison," she said quietly, "are you sure our ship will be safe docked at that station?" Jake smiled confidently. "Ambassador, the Liberty can protect itself against anything we might encounter. Besides, Dr. Sandy Lewis has been studying the cultural files. She says Nexus Station has strict neutrality laws that protect all diplomatic visitors." Dr. Sandy Lewis was Earth's leading expert on alien cultures. She had spent months preparing for this mission, learning about the customs and behaviors of dozens of different species. Her knowledge would be crucial in avoiding misunderstandings that could lead to conflict. As the Liberty approached the station, they received a formal welcome message from the station commander. A tall, thin alien with purple skin appeared on their screen. "Welcome to Nexus Station," the alien said in perfectly clear English. "I am Commander Belthara. We have been expecting your arrival. The galactic community is very interested in meeting representatives of humanity." Claire stepped forward to respond. "Commander Belthara, I am Ambassador Claire Johnson representing the people of Earth. We come in peace and hope to establish friendly relations with all civilizations." "Excellent," Commander Belthara replied. "You have been assigned docking. Port 17. Representatives from many worlds are already waiting to meet with you." The Liberty docked smoothly at the station, and Jake made sure his security team was ready. Commander Ray Martinez led a group of Marines who would protect the diplomatic mission while trying not to appear threatening to other species. "Ray," Jake told his security chief, "remember what Dr. Lewis taught us. Some alien species might see our weapons as aggressive, while others will interpret a lack of visible protection as weakness. Try to find a balance." Commander Martinez nodded. "Don't worry, Captain. My team knows how to look professional without starting any fights." As the human delegation left their ship, they found themselves in a corridor filled with aliens of every imaginable type. Some walked on two legs like humans, while others floated through the air or moved on dozens of small legs. The diversity was overwhelming. Dr. Lewis whispered to Ambassador Johnson as they walked. "The blue-skinned ones with 4 arms are Madirans from the Confederation. They're likely to be friendly. The tall ones with silver skin are from the hegemony. Be very respectful with them, but don't show fear." Their first formal meeting was with Representative Kurthik of the Confederation of Allied Worlds. He waited in a large conference room with delegates from several smaller civilizations. When the humans entered, Kurthik stood and performed what Dr. Lewis recognized as a traditional greeting gesture. "Ambassador Johnson," Kurthik said warmly, "on behalf of 43 member worlds of the Confederation, I welcome humanity to the galactic community. Your actions against the Zelani Empire have given hope to many smaller civilizations." Claire responded carefully, using the diplomatic phrases Dr. Lewis had taught her. "Representative Kurthik, we are honored by your welcome. Humanity seeks peaceful cooperation with all species who share our values of freedom and mutual respect." The meeting went well as the Confederation representatives explained their alliance system. They offered immediate membership to humanity, promising mutual defense against aggressive empires in exchange for access to human defensive technology, but their second meeting was much more tense. Supreme Chancellor Velteran of the Hegemony of Worlds arrived with a large delegation of advisors. The Hegemony representatives were elegant and clearly very advanced, but their manner was cold and calculating. Supreme Chancellor Velteran was an impressive figure with silver skin and 6 graceful arms. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed without question. "Ambassador Johnson," he said formally, "the hegemony acknowledges humanity's recent military success. However, we are concerned about the rapid introduction of unknown technology into our galactic region. The hegemony has maintained peace and stability for 2,000 years. We must ensure that new powers do not disrupt this balance. Claire felt the tension in the room but maintained her diplomatic composure. Chancellor Veltaren, humanity has no desire to disrupt galactic peace. We seek only to protect our own people and establish friendly trade relationships. Yet your technology appears to exceed even our own capabilities in some areas, the Chancellor replied. This creates an unfortunate imbalance that must be addressed. The hegemony proposes a technology-sharing agreement that would allow our scientists to study human innovations while providing you with the benefit of our ancient knowledge. Dr. Lewis recognized this as a polite demand for humanity's military secrets. She whispered a warning to Ambassador Johnson, who nodded slightly. Chancellor, Claire said carefully, we appreciate the hegemony's offer, but humanity prefers to develop technological partnerships gradually as trust is established between our civilizations. The Chancellor's expression remained neutral, but Claire could sense his displeasure. The meeting ended cordially, but both sides understood that the hegemony saw humanity as a potential threat to their dominance. That evening, as the human delegation prepared for more meetings, Commander Martinez reported a security concern to Captain Morrison. Captain, I've been monitoring station security feeds. There are several groups of aliens watching our delegation very closely. Some appear to be intelligence agents from various empires. Jake wasn't surprised. Keep our people safe, Ray, but don't create any incidents. Everyone wants to know what humans are capable of. The next day brought unexpected crisis. A group of Zelani extremists, led by War Admiral Kexival, had infiltrated the station. They blamed humanity for their empire's humiliation and planned to destroy Nexus Station rather than accept their reduced status in galactic politics. The attack began when explosions rocked the station's outer hull. Emergency alarms sounded throughout. The massive structure as automated systems tried to seal hull breaches. Captain Morrison immediately contacted Ambassador Johnson. Claire, we need to get you to safety. The Liberty can protect you better than the station can. But Ambassador Johnson surprised him with her response. Captain, if we run away now, every species in the galaxy will think humans abandon their allies when trouble starts. We need to help defend this station. Jake smiled with pride. Understood, Ambassador. All right, people, let's show the galaxy how humans respond to terrorism. The Liberty undocked from the station and joined the defense effort. Dr. Lewis coordinated with station security to identify the attackers while Commander Martinez led teams to protect civilians. The battle that followed was brief but decisive. Captain Morrison used the Liberty's advanced shields to protect damaged sections of the station while precisely targeting the Zelani attack ships. The human ship's defensive capabilities allowed rescue teams from multiple species to work together. Without fear of further attacks, within an hour, the Zelani extremists were defeated and their leader captured. But more importantly, representatives from dozens of worlds had watched humans risk their lives to protect a neutral station and alien civilians. Representative Kurthik approached Ambassador Johnson as rescue operations continued. Ambassador, your people could have retreated to safety, but instead you stayed to help defend strangers. This action speaks louder than any words about human character. Even Supreme Chancellor Veltaren seemed impressed. Ambassador Johnson, the hegemony recognizes that humanity possesses not only advanced technology but also admirable principles. Perhaps we should discuss more comprehensive agreements between our civilizations. 2 days later, Ambassador Johnson stood before the full Galactic Assembly at Nexus Station. Representatives from over 200 worlds filled the massive chamber as she delivered humanity's formal address to the galactic community. Fellow beings, she began, humanity comes to you not as conquerors or competitors, but as neighbors seeking friendship and cooperation. We have seen what happens when technology is used for domination rather than protection. We offer our strength to defend the innocent and our knowledge to benefit all peaceful civilizations. The response was overwhelmingly positive. The Confederation immediately approved humanity's membership in their alliance. Even the hegemony agreed to formal diplomatic relations and limited technology exchanges.